Kamikazishots, Streamin with Keegan, with your host, Keegan.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Streamin with Keegan. It's so interesting, I just came off of an interview with Abstractius Artemis, and now I'm gonna do another interview, this time, my interview, and it's going to be with none other than, oh, yeah, you showing up there? Yeah, there's Tiygrail. Yeah, aka Kamikazishots, but he now goes by, Tiygrail. Also, welcome, Preem. Welcome to the stream.
Hey, Preem.
Also, Tiygrail, it's really cool that you, are finally showing us what you really look like here.
Yeah.
I know it's been hard to try to, disguise yourself as a human for so long. It's pleasure to meet you in the flesh.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah. Without further ado, let's get right on into the questions. Because I already have a few.
Yeah.
Let's see. Here's the first one. Yeah, that's dope, Tiygrail. Yeah, we're complimenting your physique.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Figure.
Appreciate it.
Alright, here's the first question.
Yeah.
When did you know you wanted to make music? Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. I always forget to play your songs. Play that in the background.
That's fine.
There we go. Now, you can answer the question.
Oh, man. Hold on. Answering the question, when did I know? Really, I knew I wanted to make music when I was probably 3 years old. Looks like my camera is fading on here. I grew up in a musical family. My brother played guitar, and there was a Fender Strat and a Gibson amp in our room. I remember when I was 3 years old wanting so badly to play that guitar, and watching him play. He played in several different bands, and he was in a boys' choir that he sang. They actually, in 1962, was invited to the White House for President Kennedy.
Wow, really?
And they sang for President Kennedy at the White House. He's 13 years older than me, so I was the baby, and my sister was 15 years older than me, so she sang a lot to me when I was a kid. And it was a lot of folk music, Joan Baez, Peter, Paul and Mary, those type, folk singers.
Nice.
What's up,
and I was Ordian, Azurium, and Abstract. Anyway, yeah, sorry to.
Yeah, my dad was in the Army band in the Pacific. When he wasn't actually playing in the band, he was an ambulance driver. He and his identical twin brother were in the same platoon in the Philippines, Manila, Guam, New Guinea. For a small time, they were in Okinawa. But he played trumpet in the band. And so I got that kind of bug, I guess, when I was a kid. He'd listen to a lot of big band jazz, Glenn Miller, the Andrews Sisters, Bing Crosby, Doris Day. But he also listened to a lot of country and western. And Texas, that's mostly what they play on the radio here is country and western. So that's what I kind of grew up around. But as a kid, I had a record player, a small record player that I had some 45s that I would play regularly and sing to them, sing along with them.
Wow.
Sheb Wooley's Purple People Eater, Bobby Pickett's.
I actually know that song.
Yeah, the Monster Mash.
The Monster Mash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Classics. Was that from Rocky Horror Picture Show?
I don't know. But I had a Disney album. I used to sing along with some of those that came from the movies, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Yeah. Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins. There was a lot of Mary Poppins songs in there. There were a lot of Snow White. So I sang along with the record player, and then I got to where I was singing along with the radio. But growing up, I was around what my brother listened to: the Beatles, the Beach Boys, Simon and Garfunkel, Richie Valens, Buddy Holly, the Smothers Brothers. I don't know if anybody knows the Smothers Brothers, but they were a duet that they were in the 60s, a folk duet that they actually had a TV show for a while, and there's some good stuff on YouTube about them. But they did a lot of skits in his band with Smothers Brothers material, which is really kind of good. But yeah, I just kind of, like I said, I grew up around music. My mom sang around the house, and her family, my uncles and my cousins all played country musical instruments. A lot of them played guitar, fiddle, mandolin, banjo. My granddad played guitar. He basically played all of those. But when we went to family reunions or any kind of family gatherings, that's what they would do. They would play bluegrass music, and so I was around it all growing up. So literally, I've wanted to do music all my life, but I didn't have really the ability to do it. I really I wasn't musically inclined as far as instruments go. I played in the band when I joined choir when I was in 3rd grade, and I sang from 3rd grade until 6th grade. And then I got into the 6th grade band. My brother and my dad talked me into playing trumpet because both of them had played trumpet in the band. And so I learned to play trumpet, and that was pretty good. It did pretty well with that. When I got into junior high, they put me on just about they tried me out on every brass instrument available. I played valve trombone, baritone, French horn, tuba, mellophone, sousaphone, cornet. I basically played all the different brass instruments at different times throughout my high school and junior high career. So, I was a band geek. Yeah. I was a real band geek. I spent more time in the band hall than I spent in classes. So. Yeah,
I remember we had extensive conversations in DMs about your times playing all kinds of brass instruments. Really cool. Yeah, Rich F. Premier, absolutely right. Tiygrail's musical history / influence goes deep, is what he says.
Yeah, it does.
Very deep.
And I wanted so badly to be a musician, but I had so many other things going on in life that, it was just hard to really pin that down. In high school, I did magic shows. I did kids' parties. I was a magic clown for a while. I did an assistant. I was assistant for another clown and did kids' parties for a while. Made some money doing that. And I really thought I would be a stage magician when I got out of high school. That's what I had planned on doing. So college really wasn't, in my wheelhouse. That wasn't what I wanted to do. I was more interested in doing magic, but things kind of changed. I got out of high school. My dad said, you need to get a job. So I went to work at Walmart, and because of his background with electronics, when he got out of the military, he was already into ham radios. And I remember as a kid messing with his ham radio and getting in trouble for that. And so he was real big into electronics, and he built his own radios. And then he was in the civil defense from coming out of World War II. He was in the civil defense, a local chapter, and they had a CB club, which we spent a lot of time working with CB radios, and he did a lot of work with those. So I was I was into electronics and
Yeah.
did a lot of stuff like that. But when I went to work for Walmart, I got put into the electronics department as a clerk because of my background with electronics. I did pretty well with that as far as, I sold electronics pretty well. I knew the stuff. I could sell to people. But then I decided I wanted to move. I was actually following a girlfriend of mine. I moved to Denton that was a small town I grew up in, but moved to a bigger town, a college town, and started working for Dillard's in the mall. And I was selling computers at that time, electronics, but computers was a big part of what we did. And computers back then were pretty expensive. We're talking about the 80s, really. It was 84, 83, 84, around there. And that's the first time I saw my first MIDI keyboard and MIDI expansion module. My boss, my supervisor, actually had a MIDI keyboard he had hooked up to an Atari. Not an Atari, an Amiga. Sorry. And had a sound module that sounded like all kinds of string instruments and abstract. Yeah, I'm sure.
No, a lot of us weren't even born. I obviously wasn't born back then.
Yeah, I can't help it, man. I was born in '63, so yeah. But yeah, I did a lot of different stuff when I was growing up with music, and so it just kind of fell into, I wanted to do something with computers because I was so fascinated by selling them. At one time, I went to the Dallas headquarters for a sales seminar. It was when the Lisa came out, the Apple Lisa, and I think that was the seminar that I went to. I walked into the Apple headquarters, and there was a guy standing there, and he was kind of a young-looking guy, and I said, "Can you direct me to where the seminar is?" And he's like, "Sure." And he took me over and showed me where the room was. And so went into the seminar, sat down, and they were going through all this stuff. And probably 10 to 15 minutes into the seminar, this guy walks in. It's the same guy I talked to outside. It turned out they introduced him as Steve Jobs.
Wait, oh my God. Oh,
So,
wait.
yeah.
So did you meet Steve Jobs?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That was probably 85 or so, 85 or 86. So yeah, I kind of freaked out because they were like, "Yeah, this is Steve Jobs," and I'm like, "Oh
my
really?"
God. I'm
Yeah.
guessing he was like, was he like, was he famous back then, or was he still was he famous back then, or I'm guessing not, right?
Not as famous as he became, but yeah, he was. I mean, I knew who he was.
Yeah.
Of course, because he was part of, the Apple development team. But yeah, that was one of the times that I was really impressed by somebody. I was like, wow, Steve Jobs is great. But yeah, I mean, I learned about MIDI keyboards and really wanted to get an Apple computer. They were so expensive, I couldn't afford one. And so I ended up buying a Commodore 64, which was, not expensive, but it was a base module that gave me something to work from.
Yes.
A cassette data storage. And that's all your data was on cassette. I had a 300 baud modem, which at that time was the best we had, but it was really, really slow. And I got into BBS's bulletin board systems, and my phone bill got to be really, really phenomenal because I was calling bulletin board systems all around the country and really all around the world. At that time, there was Genie, was sponsored by GE, was a big bulletin board, and of course AOL and CompuServe. I spent a lot of time on those bulletin boards, which that predated the internet. What I learned about the demo scene from underground bulletin boards, and that was a lot of music that was made by tracker software, which I'll go into a little bit more in just a minute. But I spent a lot of time listening to different music and getting really enthused by it, but I just didn't have the technical know-how. I had to spend time to kind of learn what I was doing.
Right.
And then things kind of changed with my girlfriend at that time. We broke it off, and I had to move back home for a time. And then I went back to Walmart and ended up getting to be the electronics department manager at that store, which was really nice. They kind of kept me in that position because I trained other employees that went into management. I trained 3 different guys that I can remember that ended up becoming managers of stores later on. But I just had been with the company long enough and knew enough of the background of the company that, I knew how things worked. But I was such a good department manager sales-wise. I was always one of the number 1 in the district for sales. So they wanted to keep me in that position. So when I moved to another town, a bigger town. I actually was a department manager of that store, and I spent probably 5 years at that store. They wanted to put me on their store setup team that goes around from store to store and sets up new stores. I didn't really want to do that because I didn't want to spend the time 9 to 10 months on the road.
Yeah.
And that wasn't really something I wanted to do.
Yeah. So, sounds to me. So I don't know if you're still leading up to the end of this the answer to this question.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sorry.
Cool. Sorry. Yeah.
I ended up getting into. I got married, moved to Virginia. I actually got divorced shortly thereafter. I bought a guitar at a pawn shop, electric guitar, because a buddy of mine had loaned me his acoustic guitar, and I kind of taught myself some basic chords. So I bought an electric guitar, and when I came back to Texas, I actually had a couple of amps and a couple of guitars that I had bought in Virginia. I started 3 bands over about 10 years, 12 years. I played different things, but I still wanted to get into computer music. That was where my heart was. And I couldn't really do that because I was too busy trying to make a living. And, I worked at Walmart in 3 different stores. I worked at Dillard's. I worked at another retail chain on the East Coast as a department manager of electronics, but I was too busy making a living. And then I got married again, had 2 little girls I had to take care of, and I decided I needed to leave Walmart. I needed to get a computer college degree in computers, and that's why I wanted to go for music. But at that time, there really wasn't any music degrees that you could get in computer like you can now. You can go to Berkeley and get it, but
because I'm guessing computers were more rudimentary back then. There wasn't really people making. There weren't really many people making music on computer.
Yeah. We're talking about the 90s, early 90s. That really wasn't that much as what it is today.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting a college degree. I got an associate's degree in computer networking and administration. They hired me as an instructor before I actually left before I actually got my degree. So I was actually teaching before I was ready. But I taught security because I was into hacking back in the day when I was with my Commodore 64. But then I I spent about 8 years teaching, but I was actually having students make more money getting out of college than what I was making as a teacher. So I left, went to an oil company, made a lot of money, enjoyed that. I was a security administrator for that company. But but yeah, I still wanted to do music, and I was still trying to break into it. I was, tinkering around with stuff, but not really getting that much into it. But it was after I left the oil company, that's when I decided that's what I'm going to do. At really age 55 or so, I decided that's what I was going to do for making a living, and I started doing music, and so that's about 10 years ago or so. And that's when I started actually making music on computer.
Yeah. Okay, that explains everything. How you ended up using a DAW on a computer, and that's how you... Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, sorry. It's a long, convoluted story, but, it all kind of fits together, so...
No, yeah, thanks for explaining it. You're definitely one of the longer answers to that question, next to Alex.
Yeah, sorry.
It's fine. Sometimes the guest has a lot to say, and because up until Alex and you, a lot of the guests that I've
been
interviewed, younger, but also just they didn't have as much to say necessarily. I mean, I don't know. Sundown had plenty to say, but I'm thinking about some earlier guests like Waste of Blood and He Who Must Not Be Named.
Right.
Those two really didn't have much to say. I kind of had to coax them into speaking more or elaborating more. I kind of because those interviews ended so quickly, because they just didn't have much to say about each question. But yeah, I didn't actually end up going through all the questions. Dancing out. I didn't end up actually going through all the questions with Alex. I just stuck with the ones that mattered to me the most because we just were in endless dialogue.
Yeah, and that was a really good interview too. I have to say that was really some good information from both of y'all. So
yeah. Certainly I'm honored to have him on. Anyway, second question. What do you get out of making your music? You kind of, with your long story, you kind of touched a little bit on that, but like, I guess I could still ask you in a more direct manner. What do you get out of making your music?
I enjoy making music. It's a passion for me to make music. It's always been a driving desire to do that. Mm-hmm. I do it a lot for my own therapy, really. It makes me feel much calmer. Makes me feel better. And so I spend a lot of time doing my own therapy, basically. But yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's always a good motivational thing, to do music for therapy. I've made a few songs for that reason as well, to just kind of like vent, without like, I don't know, like making art out of my misery, I suppose.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand totally.
So let's see. Yeah, who are your inspirations? There's another one.
That's another one that goes kind of deep. Number one, I probably would say Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters is one of my main inspirations. Because he went from Nirvana to making his own album with Foo Fighters. He did that entire album himself, and I really enjoyed that. Trent Reznor is another one, from Nine Inch Nails. Trent, is really, really fascinating. He does a lot of synthesizer stuff. He's really big into synth music. The Doors, Ray Manzarek, early on, I really loved his keyboard playing. Jim Morrison was a wonderful lyricist. The Blues Brothers band, I got into Jim Belushi, John Belushi, sorry, and Dan Aykroyd in the Blues Brothers movies. But they did a lot of really good music.
Yeah, I've definitely heard a few of those names before.
The Allman Brothers Band. Dwayne Allman was a fantastic guitarist. I really look up to him. There's a song he played for Boz Scaggs, which if you look up on YouTube, there's a song called "Give Me a Dime." It was done at the Muscle Shoals recording studio in Alabama, and it's actually a 12.5 minute song, but when they recorded it, it was a 40-minute jam session in this really small studio. And it's kind of funny, they put Dwayne Allman in either a closet or a bathroom. It was so small they couldn't get everybody into the studio, so he was actually in a smaller room doing his part. So that's kind of interesting. You know, I got into a lot of blues music early on. B.B. King, Lightning Hopkins, Elmore James, Albert King, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jeff Healey. You know, a lot of those are guitarists, and they're big heroes of mine. And then I have those inspirations that were synthesizer based inspirations. Wendy Carlos is a big one. She did Switched on Bach in '68 with a Moog synthesizer. She did the soundtrack for Clockwork Orange in '71. You know, Herbie Hancock, of course, Vangelis, Bernie Worrell. I don't know if you know him. The group Parliament or Funkadelic.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I've heard of them.
Yeah.
But it's cool that one person used a Moog synthesizer. It's like the earliest That's like the guy who created the synthesizer, right?
Yeah. Well, she actually worked with Bob Moog to create the what came out as the Moog synthesizer. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's several different ones. Brian Eno is a big inspiration. Thomas Dolby, Gary Newman.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cars. You might have heard that particular song.
I've heard of Cars. My first introduction to Gary Newman was My Name Is Ruin, because that's still relevant today. It's his more recent songs.
Right.
But then I kind of went down the Gary Newman rabbit hole.
That's a deep rabbit hole. It actually is.
Yeah. Some of my favorite of his older songs are Cars and Our Friends Electric.
Yes,
I have a cover of Cars.
Right.
On my channel, but yeah, good shit.
Jan Hammer, Geddy Lee, Jordan Rudess of Dream Theater, Kraftwerk, Stevie Wonder, Kraftwerk, of course. You know, they were very instrumental in bringing a lot of synthesizer music to the forefront. Giorgio Moroder, who did Maniac in the early 80s for dance, the dance movie Flashdance. And he did a lot of other stuff as well. But, you know, and there's people like Frank Zappa, Jackson Brown, the Eagles, Steely Dan. All of these are influences that I grew up with, you know, and that's just Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, Tom Petty. Alan Parsons is a big influence of mine because when I was in drama, I was a sound man for our drama class, and we had a particular play that we were doing. I had to go get an album that was Alan Parsons Project album. The Tales of Imagination. It was about Edgar Allan, based off Edgar Allan Poe. And I got really into Alan Parsons Project and started really, really digging that music. And I got almost every album that came out. Danny Elfman, you know Danny Elfman, Oingo Boingo.
Boingo. Yes.
Saw them in '76, and they actually were on the Gong Show, and they won the Gong Show in '76. He was the lead guitarist and the lead singer for Oingo Boingo, but he also did, you know, the Batman soundtrack. The Nightmare Before Christmas, Edward Scissorhands.
Wow, I did not realize. Yeah,
Danny Elfman is a major. I'm sitting here and there's the Batman DVD right there. But yeah, he's a major influence for me, especially because I wanted to get into TV, movie soundtracks, and game soundtracks, and he does a lot of that. So he actually has a master class that I looked at that was really, really cool.
Yeah. Richard Preem says, first person other than my mother who introduced me to them. I've heard mention Steely Dan in my life.
Yeah, Steely Dan, you need to check out. There's a lot of really good tracks. Hey 19. Gosh, my brain went kind of dead. But they have a lot of really good stuff on YouTube. Steely Dan is a I don't know any of But I got into prog rock too. You know, King Crimson, Jethro Tull, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Genesis, Rush. Yes was a big influence for me. So yeah, when I was 13, I went to my first concert, which was a Kiss concert, the Destroyer tour in '76, and I saw Ace Frehley play guitar, and that's really what cemented my desire to play guitar. And that's one thing that I really want to get more in my guitar playing into my music. But sorry.
Yeah, no, not at all. That's really cool. Really cool. Whole lot of inspirations there. It's fascinating that I recognized a few of them. I know Kraftwerk because of Alex. Alex introduced me to Kraftwerk.
Right. Thomas Dolby, you know Thomas Dolby, right?
I do not.
She blinded me with silence. She blinded me with silence. Da 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 da.
Oh man, I don't think I know that. Damn.
You need to look that one up. Thomas Dolby was in the '80s, early '80s. So yeah, that's some really good music.
Yeah, damn.
But yeah, Pink Floyd did a lot of stuff with synths in the early days.
Pink Floyd, yeah.
The Who did some synth stuff that I was really into. Baba O'Reilly. You know, there's just so many things that you really kind of missed along the path, that all kind of stitched together really in the end.
That's crazy. One other question that I think I know the answer to, but might want some clarification on. And of course, I think this is also just a good question to ask here because since this is going to be like a fairly public interview with you. And this whole thing's about you. I think this would be an appropriate time to ask. Are you gonna abandon the name Kamikazishots and change your name to Tiygrail everywhere? What's your plan with changing your name to Tiygrail? Do you want it to be like in addition to Kamikazishots, or?
I think I'm gonna keep Kamikazishots around because at one point I had about 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 followers on another app called Spoon, which it's a radio type app, and there were a lot of people that knew me as Kamikazishots or Kamikaze. That's still going to be around, but because of different reasons, I've decided to go with Tiygrail. Tiygrail really stands for time is your greatest real adversary in life. And that's kind of a philosophical, I don't know, that's just my way of reminding myself that, you know, I've got a short time on this earth and I need to make the best out of it. So
I always thought that Tiygrail you picked the name Tiygrail because it sounds a lot like tiger.
Well, I kind of went in that direction because it's a funny story. When I was 22 or 23, I had gone to the Dallas Zoo and I was taking pictures of tigers in the enclosure in a chain link fence, and I couldn't get good pictures, and so I crossed the barrier and decided that I was going to put the camera through the chain link fence, and I was taking pictures of a female in the back of the enclosure, and the male was off to my right. And as I was taking pictures, I heard a collective gasp from the crowd behind me, and almost immediately there was a crash on the fence, the male had come to protect his territory, and was standing in front of me with his paws up on the fence, growling.
Wow.
And I realized at that point that I could have died, very, very quickly. I handed the camera to my girlfriend and stepped back over the guardrail and fell to my knees, basically. And I realized how short life was. And I realized the tigers are a beautiful thing. I love tigers most of my life. That's why I was taking pictures of them. But beauty can actually destroy you. So you have to be very careful how you do things. And so
yeah, that makes sense. So I guess in summary, you're still gonna go with Kamikaze in certain places, but also
I
Tiygrail
think
and others.
the Kamikaze is still going to be around, but Tiygrail is going to be my main focus from now on, because they do have a pretty good sizable catalog of music under Kamikazishots.
Sure, but I always assumed, I always just assumed that you would transfer, that you would keep the music on Kamikazishots, but just change the name from Kamikazishots to Tiygrail.
I haven't really decided yet. I'm still kind of throwing it around. So
gotcha. Okay. Cool. Well, that answers that, I suppose. Gabe says, indeed, some of the most beautiful things are the most destructive. Gotta find the balance and harmony.
Absolutely, Preem. And that's one thing that I'm trying to develop, that balance in my life. It's very hard sometimes to realize how to get a good balance of things. But I got a tattoo on my wrist, Memento Mori, which means remember death. Because we're all going to die. I mean, there's no way out. But you need to remember to live in the moment and take the best of what you can.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just my take on it. But
yeah.
So yeah, that's where that came from. Tiygrail is short for time is your greatest real adversary in life. It's a philosophical idea. I did like the idea that it was close to tiger, and so of course, I want to stay with that kind of idea, but.
No, but that's a really interesting lore piece behind it, that name. Never would have thought. That's crazy.
Yeah, I tried different names, and everything that I tried was already taken. So I decided, use an acronym, and nobody else is going to ever have that. So, yeah.
That makes sense. Let's see. Right. Well, here's another question. What do you like about the genre or genres of music you create?
It's really tough because I don't necessarily do genres. I take this from Venus Theory. He's another really good influence on me. From YouTube, Venus Theory's channel. He says that he doesn't really write music, he discovers music. And that's one thing that, I do this, it comes from my heart. And I don't really compose so much as I discover something in what I'm working on. So I'm not really in a particular genre. I don't guess. I don't know that I can be classified as anything particular.
Yeah. I know a lot of us feel that way for sure.
As far as inspirations, Rich, Preem, and Abstract, and Stan, and Rob Snow, when I met them, have been very, very influential in getting me to do certain kinds of music. And I have tried to get into some different, my genre is Tiygrail. I've tried to get into different genres and try to do things. I've done some stuff with funk recently, and I'm trying to do that.
Yeah. Your funk was really cool.
So I'm just trying to. I make music that comes from the heart. I call it my soul music because it comes from my soul.
Mm-hmm.
I just make whatever feels right at the time. I also call it synchronicity music because it just all kind of falls into place. It just kind of happens. So
Yeah. I could tell you're really you're in your zone when you create your music. It's really it's like one of your iconic traits is how soundscapey and just otherworldly diverse your
right,
music
right.
is from here to there. It's very you definitely feel it. It's very soulful.
And a lot of that comes from the inspirations of Pink Floyd and some of the stuff with Dark Side of the Moon. That type of genre with a kind of a soundscapey
Mm-hmm.
type theme. On the Alan Parsons Project, a lot of that stuff is kind of soundscapey. So yeah, that's kind of what I go for. So
Yeah. I can definitely hear Pink Floyd in a lot of your work for sure.
yeah.
Um, Now let's see. Okay, here's another good question. What song or collection of songs are you most proud of and feel like reflect you the best?
You know, two of the songs I actually have released through distributors. It was more of a test to see how that would work out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what I really was going for in those two, they were both pieces that I had done that was kind of a rite of passage, I guess, or a new chapter in my music, because I at that point developed a little bit better. I don't know, a different feeling with my music, and those two songs were really important to me. One of those was really written at the time when we were in lockdown.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
couldn't go out, and it was really kind of an interesting time.
Mm-hmm.
And those are on my YouTube page. My memory's kind of fading me at the moment.
Uh-huh.
Let me pull up. Um, yeah, one is called. Gosh, my memory's just totally bonkers.
Mm.
The two that are released to YouTube and to Spotify. Let me. Oh yeah, they're not actually on my YouTube channel because they got pulled. Um,
Oh. What happened
yeah,
to them?
it was because I released it as Kamikaze,
Hmm.
and there's another individual that goes by Kamikaze with two E's,
Ah.
and the song is Tonight, which basically talks about I want to go out tonight, but I can't.
Right.
And that was written really or put together because of the lockdown,
Yeah.
and the other is Ascension.
Hmm.
That one is kind of interesting because it was kind of I guess a tribal type song.
Hmm.
but yeah, those two songs were really kind of instrumental in making me feel more, I guess, good about my music. Song of Ascension, and Tonight. Those two actually were really, really important to me. Kind of a turning point in my music, and that's why I decided to release them, to try and garner a little bit of following. I had been playing them on Spoon, as it's like a radio station, and people come into your room, and there's a chat room, and then they developed it where they had call-ins where people could actually do like a call up, which is kind of cool.
Cool.
But at the time of the pandemic,
I don't know if I've heard of Spoon.
Yeah, it's the Spoon app on Android or iOS, and they actually have, if you Google Spoon app, you'll find their webpage. You can do it through the web, but it's not as good as using the app. The app is a lot better on your phone. So. And
what do you do on Spoon, like?
It's really, it can be like a chat room where you talk to people. But it's kind of like a radio station. It gives you the opportunity to play music, because it was my own music. There's no copyright, infringement. I can play my own music.
Right.
And I was using that to actually, pull people in and get people to listen to my music. And there were a lot of people that came in because they really liked what I was doing.
That's awesome. And, I need to check that out.
Yeah, it's really cool. I set it up on my computer. I was using BlueStacks and loaded the phone app into BlueStacks and was actually using that app and playing my music that way. So it was really pretty cool.
Nice. I'll have to check that out after this. That's awesome. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Digress.
Let's see here.
What genres are you thinking about?
What song or yeah, I already said that. Okay. What new genres have you considered trying out, if any?
Every genre I could probably try. I would love to do boom bap. I would love to do just trap, solid, straight trap. Because I don't really fit into a category or a particular genre. I don't fit into a box. I think anything that I would try would be interesting for me and would be very different. So yeah, I don't like necessarily being put into a box, but I would love to try all of these genres and try my hand at it. One thing that I'm really big on trying to do is composing for TV and film and games. I actually was working with a game developer at one point that I thought we were going to be able to work a deal, and it kind of fell through because she had some issues going on and I had some issues going on, and so it just didn't work out. But I not too long ago spent a lot of money investing in educational materials on being able to develop for movies and film and getting into that type of music. And I haven't been able to do a lot with it because of family issues and health issues and things that are going on, but that's something that I really would like to do at some point. I just don't know. I don't know how things are going to work out. From day to day, it's really is a day-to-day struggle. So,
yeah. It's cool that you're want to try out various different genres. That's for sure. You're definitely your music is already hella diverse. So,
well, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do try to put a little bit of everything into my music. I pull from a lot of diverse backgrounds, a lot of inspirations, um, listening to the things that you guys do. You've been an
Mm-hmm.
inspiration
Hmm.
to be
I'm
able
glad.
to. I would love to do chip speech, chip
Yeah.
tune type music. Um, Vocaloid is something that's been on my radar for a while, but just I
Mm-hmm.
haven't had the time to sit down and learn it. So
Yeah. I mean, I could help you with Vocaloid too. It's basically just a drag and drop thing.
right.
Um,
Yeah, I'd love to learn a lot of different things. I want to get back into trackers because that was something that I was really interested in the '90s, and I think you
mm-hmm.
guys would actually love to do some tracker music. It's a
Yeah, you
DAW
were talking to
basically.
me about trackers and
Trackers
DMs
are
before.
Yeah, they're DAWs, but they predated what we know as a DAW, and it's more of a Excel spreadsheet type vertical rather than a horizontal grid, and you actually do text to put in notes and information about those particular notes. You can use samples in certain trackers. They did a lot of sampling in the early '90s.
Yeah.
They did a lot of techno stuff, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And
I think I've seen trackers used before in, I don't know if you've heard of, you probably haven't, but I don't know if you've heard of Sploder. It's a pretty obscure website
that
that,
sounds familiar. That does sound familiar.
I think I talked about
Um,
Sploder one other time, but Sploder is a website that allows you to it's basically a user-friendly game making website where you can where anyone can
right,
make a flash game with drag and drop presets and shit. And a lot of the songs there, I was, you know, looking back at them, it's hella nostalgic for me because I was a little kid when I started using Sploder. It's completely gone. It's like dead now because Flash is not working, and
right.
Flash is. But like, I had plenty of old games there. I used to make games on Sploder, and the songs on Sploder, I watched YouTube videos of it, and I saw what looked like what you're talking about, trackers and numbers appearing, and
Right,
it's a
right.
lot more I guess you would call retro looking.
Yes, it is very retro. But there are some newer trackers that are available. It's not as prevalent now because we have such awesome DAWs like FL Studio and Cubase, and I mean there's so many DAWs that are available for computers.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the '90s, that really wasn't a thing, and trackers kind of filled in the gap. Ataris were one of the instruments that were used. The Atari computer was, because it had a really good sound chip. The Amiga was really major in getting trackers out there, and so a lot of guys were using it. But they developed into the demo scene in what now is known as keygens. If you look for a crack for a particular software and you get a keygen, it probably comes with some type of demo, that's playing music in the background. And I know none of you guys actually have ever done any keygen software, but,
Mm-hmm.
From a hacker standpoint, I did that, for a long time ago. And a lot of that stuff was they put the music and graphics into an executable so you could run the program and demo the music and the graphics of a particular computer, for example. The Amiga was one of the major demo scene computers. So yeah, the trackers are really cool, but they do simulate like 8-bit or 16-bit sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use samples in there. You can use like drum samples or other kind of samples in there. Different depends on the tracker that you're using as to the number of samples that you can put in or the number of channels that you can have. But it's really kind of cool because you guys, Digital Love, he's a big inspiration for chip tune music. I would love to go back and do some stuff like what he's doing in some tracker software and kind of get that retro sound.
Yeah. The only DAW I know is FL Studio, and I don't, unless you want to consider the Vocaloid editor a DAW or the Synth V editor a DAW. I don't know. I don't know if I would call them DAWs because I can't really do. I don't think I can do much else with them aside from add vocals, and create vocals. But yeah, I basically just use I basically only know FL Studio. So not only do I need to learn not only do I want to learn other DAWs, but now I have trackers on my radar as well.
Yeah. MPT is one of the updated. It's one of the ones that's been updated, recently.
How much is it?
It's free. It's open source.
Nice.
Yeah. So most of the tracker software that's out there, and I actually sent you a link in DM that was for some tracker software. A lot of those are available on Wikipedia. You just go look up trackers on Wikipedia, and they'll give you links to the software, and you can download them for free. Some of them you may have to run in like DOSBox because they may be DOS based, but for the most part, I mean, there's plenty that'll get around it. Some will work in Windows. I mean, there's a ton of them that are available. So
cool.
So yeah.
I'll definitely have to check those out. Now, speaking of DAWs or other music software and hardware, what music software and hardware do you use? Mics, DAWs, etc.
I bought the Focusrite Studio, which I have the interface, the Scarlett 2. It's got 2 inputs, the headphones and the microphone that came with the Studio. I use Reaper as my main DAW, but I've used several different ones. I've used FL Studio on occasion. I started out on Sony Acid Pro, and that software is very similar to Reaper. That's why I went with Reaper. But Sony has been bought by Magix. It's no longer Sony. Magix Acid Pro, and it's not as good as what Sony used to develop. So I kind of got away from using that software. I've got an Akai MPD 218 drum pad. I've got a Machine Micro MK3 that I do use on occasion. So I do use like the Akai or the Native Instruments machine software, which is very similar to the Akai software. I've got a couple of different keyboards. I've got the Akai Mini. I've got actually a couple of those. I have a 46 key keyboard that I use on occasion. I do a lot of stuff, just basically on the keyboard, on the computer keyboard, because Reaper has a virtual keyboard. You pull that up, and you can actually use your computer keyboard for using it as a keyboard.
Cool.
So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, an extensive collection for sure, Cream.
Yeah. I'm really bad about buying gear. When I turned 40, I bought my 40th guitar.
Wow.
And yeah, everybody says, why do you need so many guitars? You can only play one at a time. Well, yeah, but they all sound different. They all do different things. So each one is kind of an individual instrument. And I love gear. I can't help it. I'm a gearhead.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. That's really cool. I still want to get more into like physical instruments. The only thing remotely physical that I use, and it's not even very often, is the this keyboard, FL key.
Right. I would love to get one of those. I can't justify it right now. I got too many other irons in the fire. So
yeah, fair, totally fair. And down to the next question. Do you use a music distributor? If so, which one?
I do have DistroKid, and I haven't actually released through them yet. I did sign up a while back, and I have, I do have a subscription.
Mm-hmm.
I released through SoundCloud because I have a pro subscription to that, and they do have a distribution through them for one song, and then the other one was Amuse, which was a free service I just was trying out to see how it would work, and it was okay. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
It took a little longer to actually release than what SoundCloud did.
Why do you have DistroKid if you could just release with SoundCloud? I'm curious.
Because of Rob Snow, basically, and Rich Eppreem and
to
Rob
collaborate?
Snow released. Yeah, Rob Snow actually released a track. We did a track together, and he released Bomberman, which is on his YouTube.
Right.
So yeah, I got signed up with that, and I've planned on doing some stuff with it. I just haven't really had the time to do that. So
Yeah, totally fair. That makes sense. A lot of irons in the fire, like you said.
yeah, it's life happens whether we like it or not. So saw a post today that asked, would you choose? All of the gear you could possibly want or 3 placements, one each, with 3 of your favorite artists. That's a tough question, man.
Definitely the the latter for me.
I don't know, because
I mean, don't
for
get me wrong.
me-
I love my Don't get me wrong. I love. This is for you. I'll.
Go ahead.
Okay. I love my gear, and there are definitely things I still want, like a talk box and shit. But like, I'm also content with what I've got right now. However, 3 placements on 3 of my favorite artists, that could completely change my life.
That's true. And that's a valid answer. I would say that's something to definitely think about. But I've been looking at, there's a guitar of a 59 Les Paul, Gibson Les Paul Gold Top on Reverb right now, going for $65,000, which I would love to have one of those. But I can't say, there's no way I can spend $65,000 on a guitar.
Yeah. Consider this. Consider this though. If you get the 3 placements with your favorite artists, you're gonna probably get enough money to buy that.
That's true.
You can buy all the gear you want with those placements.
But you can see by looking at me, I'm not one going out there running after placements.
No, that's fair. That's totally fair.
I like my anonymity somewhat. I like I like to be my own person and not really be constrained by. I like being an independent artist.
No, yeah. There's no reason that wouldn't ever change. You would just be more popular.
Yeah, I don't know if popularity would be something that I'm necessarily looking for. Because at my age, what am I going to do with it?
That's fair.
No, hey, Abstract, welcome back.
Welcome back, Abstract. That's a good question. That's a really good question, Preem. That is
a good question.
I almost need to write that down. It's a really cool, abstract question. Damn it, what was it? Would you rather...
All the gear you could possibly want, or 3 placements, one with 3 of your favorite artists.
Gear you could possibly want, or 3 places...
An abstract question, yeah.
with 3 of your favorite artists. Dude. I'm also just obsessed with collaborating, which, again, is very counterintuitive because I don't collaborate.
Yeah, I understand that.
So to collaborate with, to not just collaborate, but to collaborate with
Somebody you actually look up to,
exactly, would like be a fucking dream come true. Like, I would love to collaborate with 100 Gex. Fuck me, I can't even think of 2 others. Eiffel 65, but I don't even know how that would fucking work logistically. Like, I don't even know if they make music anymore.
Yeah, that's hard. Yeah. You know, Jeff Beck would be one of mine because I really love him as a guitarist. Unfortunately, he's passed on.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know that I would be very self-conscious about putting my music alongside, you know, one of those artists. So
that's fair. But like, anyway, if that was a guaranteed thing that was going to happen, like, that would be pretty fucking cool.
That would be pretty cool. But yeah, that's a very interesting question, Preem. I'm glad you brought that up.
Definitely, Preem. Here's another question.
These guys have been so cool. Since I met them in like 2021, and you know, Abstract gave me an invite to the Future Movement Beats Discord, and that's, you know, kind of got into learning about, you know, each other and our own music, and kind of they've been very influential in helping me continue to be a better musician. I've seen them go, their improvement has been so exponential in a short period of time. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, definitely. I've not been able to keep up with them.
Oh man, no, you're doing great, bro.
Thanks, man. Fantastic. But you know, I'm still working on developing, you know, things and trying to get better. But again, you know, it's hard when life takes over and you have other obligations. So
yeah, no, that makes complete sense. My key is eating me alive.
Sorry, man.
My it's just like my little video feed. You know how like I have a blue screen and it's like kind of eating
irritating.
No, it's not. I mean, it just doesn't look good. It's not. There's nothing like actually hurting me. It's just like the video capture is kind of leaking. I see if I can improve upon that real quick. Yeah,
I miss because in the 90s, I did have a couple of bands that I played with when we did play gigs. I missed that live audience, and that was a real cool thing. But you know, not doing live things is not that important, I guess, anymore. Because I do things on my own time, and I put them out, and people listen to them if they want to, and if they like them, that's great. And if, you know, they don't like them, I'm sorry, but you know, that came from me.
Yeah.
And you know, that's okay.
Yeah, not live performing is all I've ever known, so I've never done live performing. So that's still something I want to experience, but again, like I said with Abstract, I feel like I need some kind of excuse to live perform because I don't really perform anything live. I would just
that would be something I think you'd be really cool at it. I think you would actually do a good job of doing live performances.
Thank you. Yeah, I've often thought about like having like these lavish performances with fucking Tesla coils and shit. Just like putting on a show to compensate for the lack of actual live, like making music live. Like I feel like the most I could do. I mean, I want to learn piano eventually and perform music live that way, but I think for a while my vocalization is probably going to be one of the only things I do live. when I first begin. But anyway, yeah, that's me. It's cool that you had an opportunity in your life to go live,
Yeah.
do live performances. You had your fun in that regard. What are your favorite effects and instruments to use?
Wow. I love the native instruments. Massive. That synth is really, really cool. Vital. I don't know if you've used Vital before, but it's
Yeah,
an open source.
I use Vital. Yeah,
Vital is so dope.
I was introduced to it by Preem.
Surge. I love Surge. I like Contact libraries. I really do enjoy the sounds that you can get from some of the Contact libraries that are, especially in the Native Instruments complete package, which I do own now. And there's a lot of free libraries that are available through third-party suppliers, libraries that really, really good sounding libraries, especially for orchestral type instruments, which I'm trying to use more orchestral music to be able to do like movie type stuff or TV stuff. So yeah, I really do concentrate on using Contact a lot. Another thing that I really did like, and I'm not subscribing right now, Output has a lot of really good plugins. And Arcade is a very, very dope sound library. It has a ton of really, really cool sounds in it. Effects. I like using different glitch effects or panning effects. I really like. There's some panning software that's really cool. Some gating software that's available for free. There's just a ton of plugins. I'm a plugin-aholic, really.
Yeah.
I go for a lot of the free stuff, so I'm always on the lookout for new stuff. And Bedroom Producers Blog is one place that I go frequently to find new stuff, new plugins, new effects. I'm not good at mixing. I'm not good at mastering. And that's something that I really need to work on, but I think that's something that we all kind of struggle with.
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody struggles with mixing and mastering.
I'm trying to go through some new AI type software that will help a little bit with that. I do use Ozone from Isotope to do some mastering, some mixing and mastering.
I've heard a lot about Ozone. I don't use Ozone.
Yeah, it's. I think I got it free one time off of Bedroom Producers Blog.
Is it like? Is it kind of like? Of course, I don't know if you know what Maximus is. It's like a. It's basically. Is it like a Is it like a anything like a? Is it like a compressor EQ type thing?
Yeah. It can be a limiter, compressor, EQ. It has a lot of presets. So yeah, the essentials is what I've got abstract, and it's really kind of dope. And you go through the presets, and then you can adjust it to your liking. It's got some basic, like this is a mastering preset, and this is a modern mastering, and this is a limiting, and there's just so many different ways you can use it. But again, you have to kind of know what you're doing with the individual pieces. So, not knowing a whole lot about mastering, it's not something that, I'm really good at. So,
yeah, I know there are definitely more nuanced ways to mix and master, but I think one good way to mix and master, one way that I've found was pretty helpful is like, I tend to have 3 primary buses or channels I put sounds in, and then I connect all those to a master. And basically, you create like a sound hierarchy with them. You create so like percussion I always have on top, um then vocals, then the rest of the instruments
Okay.
is behind
Yeah.
that.
And that makes sense.
Um and
You
for a
can kind of
while,
do that. You
yeah,
can kind of do that in Reaper with folders, what they call them folders. And you can set up folders with individual tracks in those folders, and you can route them to different buses for different things. But you can put effects on those individual like folder tracks
yeah,
um, that will like do all your drums at the same time,
yeah.
or yeah,
And lately I've
So
also and lately I've also been trying to be more conscious about EQing things, like almost kind of like not only having like um instrument volume hierarchies, but like also various different uh EQing frequency value hierarchies, if that makes
right,
sense, where like
right,
I want the percussion, my kicks and most of the percussion, I want that to be hogging a lot of the bass low end range usually.
right.
Um then of course the bass is probably going to be like near that range as well. And then vocals are like almost completely like mid and treble.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, and I think just experimenting with a lot of nuance in each instrument, putting them
You
in,
know,
you know.
I've actually been getting away from Ozone and trying to do EQing in individual tracks,
Mm,
and trying to get a little better sound that way. And I think that gives my tracks, my overall track, a little better sound.
yeah.
Um, because when you're trying to throw everything into one program, it's really compressing everything, and it just doesn't do as well as individual tracks. So
I do
that's
I do both.
okay.
I don't have Ozone, but think I probably have an equivalent. I have Maximus. I put that shit on the master, and I have hierarchies, and
That's
I
cool.
compress the shit out of them, and they sidechain a lot, and it sounds okay, but it has resulted in many brick waveforms.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, that I kind of want to get away from, but you know, uh,
Well, I think it's something that we all kind of work on at different times. And, I've had songs that have really been bricks,
mm-hmm.
really bad. But then, I've had some that are really too low and just they don't sound good when you push them out to a platform. So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
That's the thing. That's one of the reasons why I naturally started making bricks. Is like I compare the loudness to like
other tracks,
other tracks I hear, and it's like this shit is too quiet. I need
right?
to turn this shit up, and
Yeah,
then I end up making bricks, and
right.
that's how I write. That's how my songs keep up essentially.
I mean, I've looked at a lot of different videos on YouTube, and I actually have been in a mixing mastering teaching group. Um, Actually, a couple that I've paid subscriptions to.
Mm,
But it's something that you can't be taught. I don't think it's something you have to learn for yourself by doing. You know,
yeah, for sure.
because they can tell you all day, but what you see and hear is totally different from what somebody else sees and hears. So yeah, it's just I think it's different for everybody, and at some point you're going to get experience under your belt where you're going to know how to do something the right way for a good sound, but
Yeah.
it
At
just
this
it
point,
takes
yeah. Like at
it
this
takes
point,
a while, man.
it does take a while, and I feel like I've learned I don't know. There's still more I need to learn, but I feel like if I really wanted to, I could just spend an ungodly amount of time perfecting a song
Yeah.
and really getting to a place where I'm happy with it. I know a lot about how to make things sound good now. It's just tedious as fuck, and I'd rather cut corners.
Right. And I think I'm kind of the same way. I'm very impatient a lot of times, and so I
Mhm.
rush to get something out rather than spending a lot of time working on it and perfecting it, because perfection is really something you're not going to find. I don't think. We don't ever finish something. We just surrender it. So
Yeah, I agree. I have a song called "Fuck Perfection." Uh, and
yeah,
um, wouldn't you know it, it was mixed horrendously. I'm not happy with that mix at all.
that's okay.
But that's the point. Fuck perfection.
Yeah,
It's horrible. It's filthy. It's just but it's proud, I guess. So
yeah.
there's that. Yeah, yeah. Um,
I think everything that we put out is a learning experience for us, and everything that we create is good, in
yeah,
some way or another. Whether we learn from it or we made something that really people enjoy. That's good. Either way, we're coming out ahead. So
definitely. I agree. Always you don't want to use that as an excuse to stay in one place,
no,
but like but you don't want to beat yourself up on uh where you are now either.
right. I mean, I've gone back and remastered tracks that I did 2 years ago, and the quality is actually better. But unfortunately now, because I've been, encountering
I
computer
love
problems.
I love fuck perfection, my favorite track on that album. Thanks abstract. This is embarrassing, but I don't remember which album that was on, and it's my own song.
Because of computer problems, I've lost a lot of my older project files, so I
It's
can't go back to them and
is it
and and
on?
re.
Fuck me, I don't remember where that's. I don't remember. I don't remember which album that was on. Damn, I think it was on Blair. Oh no, I don't know which album that was on. Anyway, that's off something I'll have to look at and look for at my own time. Uh,
That's cool.
unless abstract, you can remind me. um. Anyway, what were you saying?
I just, I think everything is a good thing. Whether we learn from it or people, we do a good job that people enjoy what we did. We just
Mm-hmm.
we just have to let it go and be happy that we were able to create something. And again, it goes back to time is your greatest adversary in life. Um, you only have so much time in a day, and you can't spend hours and hours, beating yourself up trying to get a track perfect. So
Yeah, I agree completely. Um, I'm very much a uh, I'm very much a quantity over quality type of guy myself, but I still want
yeah,
to improve on that
oh
doesn't mean I
yeah,
want to stop. I don't want to improve on quality, but I've always been obsessed with quantity more.
yeah, yeah. I look like
Um,
Stevie Wonder.
yeah, yeah. Of course, the slow process it takes to set everything up and make things look official has kind of forced me to be more quality oriented.
Well, and you release a lot of stuff. You distribute a lot of stuff to platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't spend that much time trying to release stuff. Um,
Spencer. That's what it was, abstract. Gotcha.
okay,
Cool, cool.
cool,
Thanks
cool.
for reminding me.
That's cool. Abstract.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Spencer.
you do a lot more releasing material to kind of a waiting audience, and I don't really release to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm more or less doing music for me, and a couple of people, if they hear it, that's great. If nobody hears it, I'm okay with that. It's really it's me being able to do the music.
Yeah,
And
that's cool.
so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. But
No, yeah. That's honestly admirable. I of course, I mean, I would be pretty disappointed if nobody heard my music but me, but it's cool that you're like comfortable enough to stay in that area if that ever happens. But I still think you're already like significantly a lot of people listen to you.
well, a lot of people hear me. I don't
Yeah.
know that they don't necessarily go back and listen to my music, but I do have some individuals that have followed me for several years that do make regular visits to my SoundCloud page and listen to my music because they see them on my stats page, and I do know when they show up and listen to my music, so that's kind of nice. But um,
Nice. That is awesome.
yeah.
Let's see here. Where was I? Yes. Well, I think I know what you're gonna I think I know what you're gonna say about this one.
uh
What's something you still feel needs improvement?
Well, of course, mixing and mastering, that's a given, but
Yeah.
composing is another thing that I really am wanting to focus on. Um,
Hmm.
I want to spend more time actually developing the ideas a little bit more in detail. I want to spend a little more time um, actually creating something um, that's not necessarily on the fly, something that I actually have developed a deep understanding of and a deep feeling for. I've got a couple of tracks, that I've kind of done that with, but um, a lot of times it's, I rush to try and get through something, and I don't
Hmm.
spend as much time composing. I guess is probably what I should. Um, and I want to spend a lot more time learning about the individual plugins and the software that I have, and because I
Hmm.
have a basic understanding, but I don't know everything about everything I have, and
Yeah.
I would really like to get more in detail of understanding the individual ins and outs of, like, say, Massive. There's so much in Massive; it's just unreal.
It's
Um,
massive.
yeah, it is. And Vital, I haven't even scratched Vital yet or
Oh,
Surge, but
me neither. I just use the presets. The interface
yeah,
scares the hell out of me.
yeah. But yeah, those are some things that I really want to work on, and I want to bring my guitar into my music a little more. I've done a couple of things here and there. I really haven't tooted my own horn there, but um, I want to make it more, I guess, obvious that I'm playing this. I'm actually playing this part.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. It's really interesting. Like, I hear a lot of guitar in your music, and it's like, I'm guessing that's you actually playing guitar, right?
sometimes it has been.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I use samples.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, there are times where I've snuck something in and not really told anybody, but um, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little embarrassed. I've been playing for a long time, but I've got some nerve damage in my neck and in my back, and it's caused some problems with my hands. So I
Mm.
don't play as well as I used to, um, and I'm a little embarrassed by my playing. But
Hmm. Sure, if you had
yeah,
a second opinion, it would be pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. But I'm trying to get some stuff together that I want to actually put out there and let people listen to. And
that's awesome.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
play a lot of rhythm guitar. I'm not too sophisticated on lead, but I've been working on some stuff lately, so that may be something that I try to put together. And I may do just a track of some drums and just some guitar music. So
Nice. Nice. Do you like strum or pluck a lot?
I kind of do both.
Mm,
Depends on what I'm playing. I usually
yeah.
pick quite a bit. That's what I kind of grew up around, was using a pick. But I've
Mm-hmm.
I've learned to do some finger picking, and do some hand movements that are actually kind of cool. So um,
Nice.
just kind of six of one, half a dozen of the other. Like I said, it depends on what I'm playing,
Mm-hmm.
um, and what I'm trying to go for, what sound I'm looking for. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Abstract says, I think it's cool to know that people are listening to what you worked on.
yeah, I actually had one track that was played 218 times in one day,
Wow.
by multiple people in um, the Soviet Union.
That's
So
cool. The Soviet
yeah,
Union.
yeah. I have a
You
lot
mean
of
like Russia?
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if is it still called the Soviet Union?
Well, probably not. It wasn't necessarily specific to Russia, because it was some of the, like, Crimea,
Mm,
Russia, Poland, some of those Eastern Bloc countries, and I just kind of lump them all together. But
yeah.
I know they are separate countries now, but I'm just used to calling it the Soviet Union.
Yeah. I think that I think that disbanded like a long time ago.
Yeah, in the '90s maybe, or '80s. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
not real. I'm not a big political type.
That's fair.
I don't follow a lot of that, but I've got a big following in Africa, which is kind of interesting.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, and Yemen and Israel. I have some people that visit from there, which is kind of cool. So I don't know exactly how they found me, if it was through SoundCloud or other outlets, but hey,
Mhm.
I'm good for wherever they find me, as long as they listen to my music. It's cool.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I have like a few listeners, mostly in the US and also the UK.
Yeah, I did actually have one of my tracks played on a UK radio station. I ran into a DJ during the lockdown, and he had a radio station that he did play music on, independent artists, and he asked me if I would, let him play one of my tracks, and I'm like, sure. And I picked up a couple of listeners from that, being played over there, but it didn't. I mean, it didn't blow up. So
Mm. Mhm. That's still cool.
yeah.
Um, let's see. Let's see. Here's another good question. What is an artist we wouldn't expect you to listen to?
Whitney Houston, maybe. I really do like Whitney Houston a lot. Jay Dilla, I love a lot of his stuff.
Mm,
He's really, really. I've listened to some Tupac, yeah.
mm,
Um, Back in the day, probably listened to more than I do now, but the Beastie Boys.
the Beastie
I was
Boys.
I was a big Beastie Boys fan back in the day. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I've heard of Whitney Houston.
she had a really amazing voice, and you could do some things that nobody else could possibly do with their voice. So um, it's really a shame that she's no longer around. But
Mm,
we all have our time. So
yeah. Um. All right. Here is a fun one. It's the show us your oldest and newest tracks thing. Let's get on
okay,
into this. So, what's your oldest track?
the oldest track that I actually still have a recording of, um,
Mm-hmm.
is on my SoundCloud page, and it
Okay.
is the very last track at the very bottom of the page. Um,
I could.
I think it's called Tuesday Blues.
Okay. I could pull it up if you want, or you could send a link.
Yeah, let me try to get it pulled up here.
Okay.
This is like 10 years ago when I really started. I got SoundCloud and I started actually trying to produce some music. And it was the first track I set out on a Tuesday, I think. And kind of hacked this one together.
Cool.
SoundCloud is being a little bit persnickety right now.
Persnickety.
Tuesday Blues. Let me send you the link real quick.
All right. There we are. Cool. I'll play it now.
You might want to turn it down a little bit. It's probably a little loud.
It's all right. Ooh. All right, maybe it is a little loud. Let's turn it down.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it. But
yeah, you're not gonna
cool.
be able to. You're not gonna be able to hear it. I don't think.
That's cool.
God, it's very grungy. I like that. A lot of metallic percussions here.
Yeah. I wanted that metallic sound. I wanted kind of a grunge to it, but I wanted that blues element to it.
Ooh, the guitar, such distortion. Is that you?
Some of it was, but yeah, a lot of it's samples that I modified. So.
Oh. Fuck, man, this is. Ooh. This is spicy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I really didn't know what I was doing.
Considering that, it's pretty well put together. The only thing that was a little bit off was the vocals seemed like the harmonizing vocals seemed a little bit high compared to the rest of the mix. But that's basically all.
Yeah.
All I have to say about it. That's
really
negative.
didn't have any idea of mixing at that point. You know, it was just trying to put the pieces together and make a track that sounded like what I had in my head.
Considering that's really impressive.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh man.
You know, that was the sound that I really wanted. That's what I wanted to make, and that's what came out. And I was really happy with it.
Yeah.
You know, at that time I was really excited, and I was like, "I gotta hear this right here."
Yeah.
But,
Woo.
yeah. And of course now, this is from my Tiygrail SoundCloud. Let me give you the link to this.
All right. I'm still listening to the old one.
That's
Still
cool. That's
going.
cool. Yeah, I don't know exactly how long that one is, but
It's like 4 minutes. Ooh. Kick is so fat. So bassy. I love it. Such a presence to it.
thank
Woo!
you. Hey, Zuriel. What's up, man?
Yep, we're still streaming. Fuck.
There's some tracks that are kind of hidden in my catalog, you know, that are not bad.
Yeah, wow, this is... I love the electric guitar in it. It's so grungy.
Thank you.
drive, that subtle kind of country twang a little bit. Ha!
Yeah.
I love the dancing. All right. That was Tuesday Blues. All right, yeah. That was fire.
Thank you, man.
Let's get into When You Dream. Oh, I think I've heard
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah, this is one that I actually did on the kickback.
Yeah, I
or
heard this one. Let's.
the review, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, this is your newest.
Yeah.
Grungy, edgy blues vibes, very nice. Rich Preem says to the last
Thank you,
one.
man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this one is a very, very different vibe.
Yeah, it's more of an atmospheric type.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty mellow, uplifting. Got a lot of. Yeah.
Yeah, I really wanted to go for an uplifting type of track and more of a popish, kind of a happy tune.
Yeah, you could hear that for sure. Majestic white tiger too.
Thank you, man. I like that one.
Yeah. The range for real, Preem, is insane. It's wild.
This one I actually worked a long time on, and I spent a lot more time on this track than probably I should have. But it was important to me to actually get the sound that I was looking for.
No, that makes complete sense. It's very. Ooh, I love the different samples you got and the panning in with them, like the weird vocal samples. I really enjoy those. That saxophone.
Yeah, I love saxon and all my stuff. When I got into high school, I got into jazz band, and I got introduced to Chicago, and a lot of that instrumentation kind of filters into my music. So, so you hear a lot of horns, a lot of jazz type instruments.
Yeah. Yeah, you submitted this to Abstract Stream too. I mean,
I guess I did. Can't really remember exactly where I put it out there, but I really wanted to get a good feedback. Let me know what you think about it, and you guys have really been helpful in helping me to develop a sound and develop better techniques and just making things better all around. So
yeah,
I appreciate you guys doing that.
Absolutely. That was When You Dream. That was beautiful. It's crazy. I can notice like almost like a fairly. I don't want to say this in a negative way because both of your tracks were amazing. Usually I notice a stark contrast between new and old. But I don't want to say that you stagnated because I mean both of these tracks sound amazing.
Well, thank you. But and I've come a long ways. I've developed a lot of techniques that I didn't have early on, and I've learned a lot from watching you guys and listening.
Definitely.
Rob was really, really instrumental in helping me with a lot of stuff, and
one major improvement I heard is just like a lot of the panning is more immersive, it's more captivating, but it feels a little bit more put together than Tuesday Blues, 2-Day
Tuesday Blues. Yeah.
Tuesday Blues. Noticing now that Tuesday doesn't have an S.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
it's no, it's cool. But yeah. No, it's really cool. Both of your tracks are really cool. Yeah. I wish I sounded
Thank
like
you,
that
man.
when I wish I
No,
sounded
no.
like that when I first made a song with my first song.
Yeah. No, man. Um.
um, but yeah.
All right, Pre. Enjoyed having you, Pre.
Hey, yeah.
Thank you.
See you later,
Thank you for
Pre.
everything, man.
Um, how did you come to seek a community of musicians?
Um. I really needed to develop a lot of my techniques. I needed someone to bounce ideas off of, and I needed
Mhm.
someone to get feedback from, and I wanted to learn from a good community. You know, I found Frames Loop Lab. I think is really the first thing that I noticed, and I was like, this is really cool. He's showing us how to do stuff. Maybe he can help me, with my music and stuff, and listen to Abstract. Getting into the kickback and listening to their music. I wanted to I just gravitated towards the community because it was so cool. Um, there was another project that I was kind of working on, but that's kind of gone by the wayside. But um, yeah, I wanted to be with like-minded people that were making music, and that's what I found in the community. People that enjoy doing what I enjoy doing, and I think that
Yeah.
was really important. So
Yeah, it's interesting cuz you came deliberately seeking out something like this and finding
yeah,
it.
yeah, I really was looking for it, and I found it in this group, and
That's
it was
so cool.
amazing. Yeah,
I think you're one of the I think you're one of the only people I have talked to where you kind of like were I don't know. I mean, I think Digital Love was also looking I don't know. But you're one of the few people I've talked to that that said they were deliberately looking for a community like this and
yeah,
finding one.
yeah,
Most people who found the community like I found the community completely by accident. I was
yeah.
still looking for a place to dump my music, but I wasn't necessarily looking for other artist friends, but I found them and I'm very happy that I did. Um
I'd been in a couple of other YouTube channels
mhm.
um, that are probably more popular. I guess they have more followers, but it was people falling over each other, trying to get their music played, and um, just that wasn't the community for me. It wasn't where I needed to be, and
Yeah.
everybody here has been so welcoming and so helpful, and
Mhm.
everybody is very positive, and in other places they're not so positive. I made a track and I actually submitted it, and it was like, well, your drums sound like crap. Well, that
Yeah.
that that didn't make me feel good.
No, yeah. No, that
But yeah,
yeah.
this
If you're gonna
this
have yeah, if you're gonna have criticism, at least be constructive about it, you know? Like
yeah,
um but yeah,
yeah, abstract. Yeah, but there were several channels that were kind of like that, and I tried different ones, and just I didn't fit there. I didn't make the kind of music they were making, and they were not very supportive of my kind of music. They were looking for something different, and that's fine. But that community wasn't for me. So, and I've always kind
yeah.
of been a pariah. I've always been the outsider. I don't make the kind of music that everybody else makes, and that's fine. But
No, yeah,
here,
yeah. I felt that way
I'm
when I felt that way definitely when I first uh
you,
submitted my non-hip hop music
I'm still
song
welcome, and
January. No, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But when I first
and
came, I heard like a lot of hip hop, and I wasn't sure if this was gonna be like an exclusive, like a genre exclusive, or I don't know. Like I didn't really realize how diverse this community was,
yeah,
and it's cool. It's
yeah,
very welcoming and open.
yeah, it is, and I really appreciate that a lot from Abstract and Preem and
Mm-hmm.
Rob Snow and Stan. Yeah, I haven't seen Stan in a while, but they were very helpful. They were very supportive. Um, they're always uplifting and positive, and that made all the difference. And I really appreciate that. So
Yeah, definitely. Um, Here's another thing. What's your favorite and least favorite part about being a musician?
um, my favorite is really when I complete something and I get that feeling of, oh, I've done this. I made a song that I really like this. Like when I
Yep.
finish, that last track that you played, um, that one I felt so good about, and
I know
it,
exactly what feeling you mean.
it was just elation of, oh man, I really I love this track. I don't know why, I do, and it's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the least favorite thing, I guess, not being able to get exactly what is in my head into the computer.
Yeah.
There's like a disconnect there because I can hear it in my head the way it should be, but it just doesn't come out exactly the way I'm hearing it.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. It's especially earlier on when I was less experienced, I would make a song with one thing in mind, and then it just became something else entirely. I'm usually a good sport with it. I just go with the flow,
Yeah, I
but
do that too.
but it's almost never what I originally what to the extent I have a specific idea. It's almost
Yeah.
never what I originally came up with, but it's something different, and that's fine. But yeah, I understand that.
This last track actually was more close to what I had in my head than anything I've done so far,
Mm.
and it felt really good about that. So
Yeah, yeah. I feel like as you improve, you're better at really getting what's
translating
in
it,
your head. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, I'm still struggling with it, but it's improving. It's getting better to a point that I can feel confident in saying, okay, I'm going to say I want this idea, and I'm going to flesh it out to a full track and make it what I want it to sound like. So
yeah. Um, no, yeah, that makes complete sense. I feel the same way. I don't really go into it with an idea unless it's abstract noise I have to plan
yeah,
the instruments. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and abstract actually was an inspiration for me to do a little bit of that. I think I told you, but
Mhm.
I have been working with some found sounds for some drum kits that I want to put together.
Mm,
And I've been working on a couple of tracks with those sounds, so those may come out. I don't know.
that's cool. Yeah.
I'm still kind of in the works of it, but I've been doing it on BandLab and trying to learn how to use that software. And now that
Yeah.
I got my computer kind of working again, I'm kind of abandoned BandLab for right now, but I'm going to go back to it.
Mm. Yeah, that's cool. Um, Here's another good question. Do you see yourself I'm guessing I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this question too, but do you see yourself making music as a hobby or a career?
I would love to do it as a career, but at this point in my life, a career is not what I'm necessarily looking for.
Fair enough.
Um, I'm I do it as a release and a therapy type thing to
Mhm.
make me feel better. And to it's a desire. I have a burning desire to get the music out of me,
Yeah.
and so at that point, it's more of a hobby, I guess. I would love to be able to do it, but there's so much involved in putting out a track that's going to be, I guess, used in a movie or used in a TV show. There's a lot of business end that I'm not really prepared to do right now. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not really, I guess, in my plans for the moment. But you know,
Mhm.
who knows? So someday things may change, and I'll have more time to actually do the business end of it. But
Yeah, that'd be cool. You ever do. Um, let's see here. All right. What hobbies do you do? This is the only non-music related question. What hobbies do you do outside of music?
well, I have a lot of animals. That's another one of my passion.
Mm.
I have, a dog that I have to take care of, and he's he's more of a puppy. He's like 4 years old, but
Mm.
he's he's a puppy in his head, and so he takes a lot of my time.
Mhm.
But I've got cats. I've got ferrets. I've
Mm.
got two male ferrets they're really cool, and I've got a rabbit that I have to tend to. So, they do take up some of my time. Um, I don't know if that's necessarily a hobby. My
It's a hobby. It's a decent enough hobby.
um, my guitars. I've rebuilt some guitars recently, and that's something I enjoy doing. Put new pickups in them.
Mm.
Changed out some tuners, changed out some hardware, and changed out pick guards, and one that I made a Stevie Ray Vaughan guitar that's really kind of cool with new
Nice.
pickups and a new pick guard, and yeah, I have a lot of pets. Yeah,
I have a
um,
dog and a lizard. Cool. Cool.
yeah. Um, we used to have a lot of cats. We've kind of narrowed it down to about 3 or 4 right now. We got a stray that we take care of in the neighborhood occasionally, but um, they just kind of disappear. I don't know what happens to them. We can't keep them for very long, but
How long have I been live, Abstract? Um, probably for a long
117 minutes.
Yeah,
117 minutes.
or 2 hours. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, because we started at 4:15 and now it's like 6:14. It's almost basically
Yeah,
6:15.
2
So
hours.
yeah,
Yeah.
2 hours.
Sorry.
No worries. We're almost wrapping up. It was really cool. Um, let's see here. Where can people? Ah, here's kind of like a marketing related question,
Yeah.
sorta. Kind of like kind of like for the art, kind of like for the audience. In a way. Um, where can people listen to your music?
SoundCloud. That's my main place to find my music.
SoundCloud. Yeah, yeah. You can see
Yeah.
the link right underneath his name, right there.
That's
Yeah.
where my catalog is. That's where most of my music is. I am going to put a link to Tiygrail on my other page,
Yeah, that's
um,
cool.
so it'll kind of go back and forth. I do have stuff on YouTube, but I don't post as much stuff there as I do in SoundCloud. That's my main catalog. So
Cool, cool. Yeah. I have Tigreal's SoundCloud, or AK, who goes by Kamikazishots, down in the description below as well if you want to check that out.
cool,
Um,
cool. Thank you, man.
of course, of course. Um, and let's see here. Here's another good one. What do you do to promote or complement your music as a creator?
Well, I used to have an Instagram that got hacked and got shut down, so I don't use that.
Yeah.
I don't use that. I've used my Twitter account before to promote my music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've used Facebook to promote my music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Spoon was the big one that I really used for a long time to actually help promote my music.
I still got to get
But
into Spoon. Yeah, that's really cool.
yeah, you really need to check it out. There's a lot of really cool channels there, and they have a lot of really good features to their app. But that after the pandemic, the kind of the demographics changed, and so it's not the same environment that it used to be. There's a lot more gamers, and there's a lot more. It's just a younger crowd that doesn't necessarily appreciate my music. So
Mm.
I kind of migrated away from it, but I do have some friends that are still there. I do go by occasionally and check them out and say hi, how you doing? But for the most part, that same crowd that I was used to has left the platform. They've gone elsewhere. So,
Mm.
but yeah, it's it's still a good app, and it's a good place for you to be able to promote yourself. Check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. You just
Yeah.
get to play your music and talk to people, and
Yeah. I think that'd be dope as well. That's basically sounds to me a lot like the Discord community.
it is kind of, yeah. But it's on an app on the phone, so yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, they do have a web page that you can do almost all the stuff, but not quite everything.
Okay.
So
Shit, that reminds me I need to put a link for you and your interview. Yeah. I was wondering about that. Yeah. I should have said something at the time, but yeah. That's cool. That'd be cool. Maybe provide my Linktree would be cool. I think would be nice.
yeah, see, I had a Linktree, but I because it was on my other computer, the link to it. I don't even remember what the username and password was. So I don't. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. And you don't have it like linked anywhere, like on your.
Not that I can find. And right now I'm not real concerned with it. Because I just had links to like my SoundCloud and my YouTube. There's not really anything that's spectacular, but
Yeah.
there are a couple of videos that I did on
Yeah, I should have asked Abstract in hindsight. I should have asked. But I'm glad you set it up. Sorry, go on.
My other YouTube channel, I do have a couple of videos that I had submitted to contests for sync music for TV shows. That was kind of interesting, and there's a place called the QTube, used to be CUE TUBE, and it's not that anymore. I'll have to find the link to it, but they are actually a lot of producers that do sync type music for movies and independent films, things like that. And it's kind of really cool. They had a website. I think the website's kind of been taken down, and they've gone to a Discord server now. I've got the Discord server. I can kind of give you guys if you're interested, but they have short videos that you can take that are like open source videos or Creative Commons, and you can use to sync your music to, and just give you something to actually practice with, which is kind of nice.
Cool.
And then you could submit it to their list, their library, and like if independent filmmakers are looking for somebody, they can go in there and check out your music, and if they like you, then they can contact you and set up a meeting or whatever, and you might get a contract deal out of it. Who knows?
Nice.
Yeah.
I think here's the final question. What are your aspirations and where you hope to see yourself in the future?
I just want to continue to make my music. That's really all I care about.
Yeah. Cool.
I don't know that I'm necessary because of family issues and life in general. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to be able to make money off of it. It would be great if I could, but again, I'm not really big into the business end of it, so I'm a musician. That's what I do,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I just it's where my head's at. So
Totally, completely fair. Um, yeah, I guess that about wraps up this interview.
cool.
Thank you for coming through.
No, man,
This is
I appreciate it.
really fun. Again, it's really cool to finally see you in the flesh. See what you really look like.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that about covers that. Thank you for coming through again.
Thank you, Keegan.
And
Thank you
that
guys
is,
for joining in.
yeah, that has been Streaming with Keegan with Tiygrail. If you want to see other videos, oh, actually, after you'll probably see me next. You'll probably see me next time. Working on, well, fuck. The next time you're gonna see me is with my my music video. Projecting. I gotta show Tiygrail dancing. I had the main screen open, but
That's
Tiygrail's
cool.
busting a move over here.
Peace, abstract.
But yeah, stay tuned next time. Next coming, I think it's Saturday. It's May 13th. I don't know if that's a Saturday or Sunday. I don't remember. I think it's Sunday. But yeah, May 13th, I'm gonna be releasing a music video. That's all for my new single, which is also coming out at the same time. Projecting.
Yeah, yeah,
That's gonna come
cool.
out. That's gonna come out. That's gonna come out then. It's gonna be part of a upcoming album that I still have to release soon. But yeah, that is something to look forward to. That's probably gonna be the next thing I release. But
Very cool, man.
yeah, absolutely. So I'll see you guys next